Welcome to Lunchtime Politics. It's noon here in Lagos, Nigeria, and I'm Kayode Pikilu. Here are the big political stories we're tracking for you at this time. 119 inmates escape custodial center with the help of heavy rains, which is said to have damaged the fence protecting the cells. While the correctional service swings to action, rearrests 10 of them. The incident happened, of course, at the Suleja Correctional Center in Niger State. An opposition People's Democratic Party in Ondo State takes center stage today as it conducts its governorship primary to elect the flag bearer in the November election. A litmus test for the party's promise to do better than the ruling APC. And in a case that dates back decades, concerned Ishakiri leaders call on the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC to abide by court ruling and revert Warri South constituency wards from 12 to 10. Well, let's get started, shall we? We begin with a rather bizarre, unusual prison escape, as no fewer than 119 inmates of the Medium Security Custodial Center, Suleja, Niger State, escaped following hours of heavy downpour, which destroyed parts of the facility last night. Well, the rainstorm is said to have exposed the facility's inner fence protecting one of the cells where the inmates were kept. Spokesman of the Federal Capital Territory Command of the Nigeria Correctional Service, Adamu Duza, who confirmed the incident in a statement, said the service has immediately activated its recapturing mechanisms and, in conjunction with sister security agencies, has so far recaptured 10 fleeing inmates and taken them into custody while it works to recapture the rest. Mr. Duza said that many of its facilities were built during the colonial era, making them old and weak, adding that the service is making frantic efforts to see that all aging facilities give way to modern ones. Our correspondent reports that normalcy has since returned to Suleja town while the search is ongoing to recapture the escaped inmates. Let's now head over to Akure, the Ondo State capital, where the governorship primary election of the People's Democratic Party is holding today. The 7 aspirants have been cleared by the Senator Sam Megu-led screening committee to contest in the indirect primary election holding at the International Culture and Events Center. The aspirants are former Deputy Governor of the state, Agboala Ajayi, Bamidele Akinboye, Adeolu Akinwumi, Shola Ebisheni, John Mafo, Kolade Akinjo, and Bosun Arebua. According to a statement issued by the Publicity Secretary of the PDP in the state, Mr. Kennedy Perite, the Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State, Lawrence Rujapo, is a chairman of the 7-man committee to conduct the primary election. Mr. Perite noted that the 627 delegates from 18 local government areas of the state are expected to participate in that election. Accreditation of delegates was billed to begin by 10 a.m. Meanwhile, a flag bearer has emerged, this time for the Zenith Labour Party, also in Ondo State. He is former Governor Mimiko's younger brother, Dr. Abbas Mimiko. Younger Dr. Mimiko, a medical doctor, emerged the candidate through affirmation in the primary election of the party, which held yesterday at the State Party Secretariat in Akure. Speaking after his emergence, Dr. Mimiko said he will give priority to education, health, economy, and security of the state. That's if he's elected as the governor. When asked if the former governor, Olusegun Mimiko, is supporting his ambition, as both of them are now in different political parties, Dr. Abbas said his brother threw his weight behind him in his aspiration to become the next governor of the state. So, let's move away from the political situation in Ondo State, while we keep our eyes on what's going on there, particularly the PDP's primaries. But we head over to South Nigeria this time around, where the people of Ishakiri are calling on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to implement the 2003 Appeal Court judgment, which rules that it must revert to 10-ward structure for Warri South constituencies 1 and 2 before carrying out the proposed delimitation of Warri Federal constituency. Well, the people stated this during a press conference in Warri, alleged the creation of more than 10 wards may be stage-managed by selfish politicians, insisting that they have resolved to get justice against any form of marginalization occasioned by the perception that they are of the minority. It's a very, very interesting situation playing out, particularly because this dates back to decades ago, as far back as the early 90s. But this afternoon on the program, we dig deeper and sort of try to find a way through this. We're joined on the program by legal practitioner, Notary Public of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Director of Robinson, Ario & Co., which is a law firm. We're joined on the program by a Chief Robinson Ario, also the mouthpiece of Warri Kingdom.
Thank you very much.
Welcome
it's a pleasure to be with you.
Absolutely. Welcome to Lunchtime Politics. As I said earlier on, this is a case that dates back to 1992.
Yes.
And I know that there were court processes from 97 to 2003. We're in 2024 right now, and the case is still on. And it's about a division of wards in Warri South Federal Constituency. For the benefit of those who are just waking up to this, is there a short version of this story? I know a lot has gone down.
Absolutely. To place my response in perspective, it is good for us, because many Nigerians do not know that the ward structure and number that you have across the country is provided for by an instrument. That instrument is contained in a gazette that was published in 1992. Now, having done that, you now move to the Constitution. In order for you to revisit, alter, review any of those numbers and structure of wards, Section 114 of the Constitution tells you that only 3 things will have to happen.
Right.
One of which will be that 10 years has passed since the ward structure existed. The second one is that there would have been a population census conducted necessitating the revisiting of the ward structure.
Right.
Understandably, that means that numbers may have increased. Then you need to juggle the wards and all the rest. Then the third one is that there has been boundary adjustment. Now, when boundaries are adjusted, you expect that certain portions will be cut out, and therefore, naturally. And I'm talking about the Constitution. Anything you do outside the Constitution is the ultimate, is the ground norm. Any law that you make that is inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution is, to the extent of its inconsistency, null and void. And so the electoral body in 1996 went ahead to gerrymander Warri South constituencies into 12 wards as opposed to the existing 10 wards.
That's 4 years after 92.
Yes.
Instead of the 10 years.
Yes. Right. And you will understand, when I say gerrymander, it's good to understand. Gerrymandering is a process whereby politicians decapitate wards and units in such a way as to favor their interests.
And you have this on good authority that it was influenced by politicians.
Yes. Now, when that happened, we went to court in 1997. When we got to court, the court initially gave an interlocutory order that INEC should revert, should not touch the 10 wards, should revert to 12 wards.
It was NECON then, if I get you correct.
Yes,
not INEC.
The electoral body, yes, you are very right. NECON, the electoral body. But they became a successor, whatever NECON did, you know. So the court ordered them in the interim not to, in 1997. Now, the case went on, and while the case was going on, NECON still went ahead and used the 12th ward. Now, eventually in 2003, we got judgment in the substantive case, declaring the act of gerrymandering from 10 to 12 as illegal, unconstitutional, and of no effect whatsoever. And that judgment is the one contained here. Right. The wordings are very, very clear. The wordings that I have used did not jump from my mouth. It came from here. It's unconstitutional, null, and void. Now, instead of INEC to obey it, INEC now appealed
the 2003 judgment.
Yes. Now, listeners have to understand that the mere fact that you appeal the judgment does not stop, does not inhibit the judgment creditor from benefiting the fruit of the judgment. And that is why you have an application for stay. INEC neither filed any application for stay, neither argued it, Even when you have an application for stay, it doesn't automatically transform into a stay of execution. Now, INEC went ahead and continued using the 12 ward structure. As I speak to you, there are members of the House of Assembly elected on the basis of the 12 ward illegal ward structure and are being paid. Now, it didn't stop there. When in 2018, we fought INEC's appeal and it was dismissed. When it was dismissed, we expected INEC to do the needful, and that is use the legitimate work. INEC did not still do so. So we began a contempt proceedings.
Right.
To ensure that those in charge of INEC are committed to prison. Now, when we began this process, INEC quickly came and appealed to us. Now, as a practicing lawyer, I always tell my clients that the worst form of settlement is better than the best form of judgment. So I said, okay, let us give it a try. INEC promised to obey judgment. INEC never did. Now, INEC did something terrible. This is an affidavit which INEC filed in court.
They're quite strong words.
Yes, I said terrible because you can apply for this. INEC said, through its legal officer, and I quote, that they had obeyed the judgment. I will make this available. You know, once a document is published, as a lawyer, I will not use words that I cannot back up with verifiable, credible and verifiable evidence. Now, the young man who deposed to this affidavit is Assistant Chief Executive Officer in INEC. And he said that they are aware that a judgment was obtained in 2003. And they have since obeyed the judgment on oath.
Will this happen in 2020?
No, this happened in 2016.
Right, okay.
That they have obeyed the judgment. Then the judge was perplexed. The judge listened to me saying they have not obeyed the judgment. This young man saying they have obeyed the judgment. The judge now ordered INEC, gave INEC 60 days. Go and obey this judgment if you have not. And if you have, come with evidence. 60 days. That order was given. And the order is here. This is the order.
And did INEC obey it?
And they did not. They did not obey it. Now, in 2011, a group of people went to court. And this is the interesting part. Let us get this clear. Because some people will be saying, I am talking about Court of Appeal judgment, and another person is talking about Supreme Court judgment. Now,
we've not got to the Supreme Court part just yet.
Okay,
we'll get to go on.
So, but the point I'm making is this. You see, you cannot have two issues and say that they are the same case. The issue that was commenced in 1997 was about the validity of the number and ward structure in Warri South.
From 10 to 12.
Yes. So if you were not satisfied with the outcome, it is in the same case that you will come. You will not go and file another case. That's a legal disaster. This is a completely different case. The suit number of this case is FAC ASB in Asaba CS 75 2011 that led to the Supreme Court case. This case is a different case. Our case is a different case.
Dated 97.
Thank you very much. And okay. The suit number different. Yeah. Now, so if you answer the question that the two suits are the same, then you will be making a grievous error in the sense that you will be saying that while we were in court, you waited till 2011 and you went to another court. That's an abuse of court process.
Bearing in mind that INEC also appealed that particular one from 97,
yes,
I believe.
Yes.
Now, you've made a very interesting foundation. By the way, we put out a call through to INEC spokesperson just to get thoughts on this one, but we've not been able to get a response from INEC spokesperson because it's important to also get the side of INEC because this dates back as far back NECON days. Now, there's a Supreme Court judgment about the delimitation and delineation. Yes. And I wonder, this happened in 2022, the Supreme Court judgment.
Yes.
So how does it change the dynamics, if at all it changes the dynamics?
It doesn't. We have had a meeting, a stakeholders meeting, and I have the minutes of the meeting here, issued by INEC. These issues were raised. And INEC said in that stakeholders meeting that they were going to, the judgment obtained, we are for the judgment, the Supreme Court judgment. It does not alter. If you look at the minutes of meeting, the REC said they were going to incorporate the two. Look, our own case was that the ward structure you are operating on is illegal, null, and void, and the courts have pronounced it as such. Now, the second case, this Supreme Court case, is delimit the words, delineate the words. Now, the Constitution allows that. But when you want to delineate, where do you start from? You have been told that the word structure on the ground is illegal. You first of all have to dismantle it.
So you're building on a defective foundation.
Exactly.
So your bone of contention is first, before you carry on with the Supreme Court judgment, fix what the Federal High Court asked you to fix in the first place before you move forward.
Exactly. Can I give an example?
Yes, quickly.
Maybe Channels has 2 constitutions. The court has declared one illegal, and they brought us as a team to come and review the Constitution. Which one are we going to review? Is it the one that has been declared illegal or the one that is legal? We will ask you to bring the legal one for us to review, not dealing with the illegal one. That's
quite interesting. But now let's break this down, because there's the legal aspect, there's the political aspect, there's even the ethnic aspect. If you go back to what it was originally, so Constituency 1 had 4 wards originally, Constituency 2 had 6 wards. But then eventually it is said that it became 12, and what happened was that NECON at that time essentially reduced the wards in the Shekiri-dominated areas by merging them and also sharing them with the Urhobos while creating new and homogeneous wards for the Urhobos. So there's also the ethnic dimension. So how does this, will I say, harm, if that's an appropriate word to use, the Shekiri people? Because at the heart of this is wards, and people are like, what's the big deal?
Now, you see, the word gerrymandering, we have to go back to it. Gerrymandering is a process where you manipulate the composition and number of wards. For example, during this process, you had, if you are familiar with Warri, those of us who are familiar with Warri, you had Ubeji ward as a standalone ward, Obodo ward as a standalone ward. In order to oppress, marginalize the Shekiri, the NECON brought Ubeji, Obodo, and a couple of other communities and made one ward. I can tell you, if you visit Ubeji today, Ubeji is big enough to be a local government council area. Okay, so while the public is being given the impression that we want the number reduced, the public is not being told the underlying factor. How? How come that in 1996, we had Ubeji stand alone, we had Obodo stand alone, and you are coming now to restructure, you merge the two together, we are retrogressing. Why those that were not up to us, you are multiplying? So it doesn't create a sense of equity. It doesn't create a sense of fairness. And that is why we are crying out. The truth is that the judgment of a court remains valid. Let us give respect to it.
Quite interesting how you put this. So you say that this is essentially limiting the people, particularly the example you mentioned, Obodo and Ubeji, instead of thriving on their own, they're now merged together into one. So does that mean resources wouldn't come to them as they ought to, because they're seen as one homogeneous?
It means that they will not be able to elect the 2 councillors they used to elect. They will now have to come together and elect 1 councillor.
Okay. And how does it affect governance and then the fate of the people?
The voice. Okay. Now, more people will be able to speak for you when you get to the table, because democracy is a game of number. If 2 people were supposed to represent that area and you put 1 person, you have reduced that vote by 50%, because democracy is a game of number.
Interesting. Now that you break it down, the natural question is, what has INEC been saying? As I said, this goes all the way back. NECON. Now, INEC.
This year.
What is INEC saying?
This year, this is the minute of meeting signed by INEC. This year, in responding to this...
2024.
2024.
Right.
In responding to this, they said that they were going to incorporate, because the 2 judgments are not inconsistent with each other. They are on different issues. And so, but the impression being given is that that's why there are different cases. If you file 2 cases on the same issue, you are accused of abusing court process, because it will then mean that what we started in 1997 and got judgment in 2003 is what you are coming to sue, institute in 2011.
Was this one in their favor, the one in 2011?
It was in everybody's favor. In fact, this one is in the favor of the whole country, because the last time the exercise of review of words was done was almost 30 years ago.
Instead of every 10 years? Every 10 years.
Okay. The Constitution in section 114 says, so this one is just a statement that it is time to do so. We are saying before you do so, you cannot review a thing that is not in existence. The concept of review presupposes the existence of something you want to review. How can you review a thing? Review means you want to visit. Can you visit a destination that you do not know?
So what would you well, maybe not what would you have it be, what you're trying to reverse it to. So does it now make the Shekiri majority and Urhobos minority as opposed to what it is now? So we can get to the heart of that
now,
as well.
The status quo, the beginning was that the Shekiris had control of 8 wards, while the Urhobos had control of 2 wards. The gerrymandering split the two, gave the Urhobos 6 wards and gave the Shekiris 6 wards. Now, prior to the gerrymandering, it was the Shekiri that was producing the member of House of Assembly in the 2 constituencies. So the gerrymandering was done to be able to split it in such a way and make it impossible for a Shekiri to elect 2 members in the House of Assembly.
And in terms of numbers and landmass, which is the majority, if I could use that term?
It is a Shekiri. Now, let me explain something to you. First of all, the Warri Kingdom is over 500 years old. You can Google it. Okay? It's over 500 years old. There are a lot of judgments. It's just that the Shekiris are very friendly people. You see, a community can welcome strangers, another may not welcome strangers. But we welcome strangers. But when strangers have come to live with you after some time, and they have increased, every person, every Urhobo man in Warri goes back home when the divine call comes. We don't have any other place to go to. That is the only place we call home. And consistent, there are a plethora of judgments to that effect. Now, but the point now is that up to 1996, the delineation was done consistent with those judgments. So, and we are saying now that the 10-ward structure in which the Shekiris controlled 8 of the wards and the Urhobo controlled 2 was done in such a way. Imagine, in 1997, an interim order was given. In 2003, a judgment was given, and there was no stay, not even an application. If you say that you have an application is not enough, but there was no stay. So the question is why, and let me tell you the reason why. You see, it's a sad thing that we live in a country that is lawless. And that's part of the problem that we have.
Coming from a legal practitioner.
Yes, I'm coming.
That would render your occupation...
No, let me
explain
to you. You are a media person. About 17 soldiers were killed recently. By who? By civilians. What scenario do you think can play out where civilians can overrun military in a battle? That tells you that the civilians must have superior counter power. And that's what is happening.
Is that related to this in any way? I hope not.
It is. The point is that INEC has told us, has confessed to us, that they are afraid to implement this judgment. As a matter of fact, there is a legal opinion by the head of department of INEC. See, there are 2 letters here.
All right.
These letters were from the secretary of INEC, from the national, instructing the REC in Delta State to obey the judgment. But INEC is afraid. The information they have is that once they obey the judgment, that their staff will be in danger, their buildings will be burnt. But there's one thing we say in law, it's a Latin maxim, fiat justitia ruat coelum. Let justice be done, even if the heavens will fall. We have to elect whether we are living in a civil society or in the state of nature. We cannot blend the two together.
I mean, that's a dire picture you paint, of violence. And we can talk about this, but there's also the governance and the reality of things on the ground. Yes. As I said earlier on, we reached out to INEC, so this is by no means the end of this conversation to further it. But there's also talks about employment disparity among the Shekiri, and this is usually a sore point, particularly because you understand it's an oil-producing area, and you'd expect that these are the areas that should reflect the richness of the country. So you have issues like employment disparity among the Shekiri. The question is, first, why is it coming out now, and what is being done? And I imagine that the Olu of Warri is also interested in this.
Now, you see, if you look at the topography, you will discover that any town that has a seaport usually attracts a lot of visitors. And that's why, to some extent, you can look at Lagos as a state of a mini Nigeria, because there is a seaport, historically. Now, we had the Warri port, which was very, very functional, which attracted a lot of people. And one thing about the Shekiris is that they are not people who believe so much in polygamy, and they don't believe in proliferation as much. An average Shekiri man has 2 children, and that is okay. Okay? So even though we have the landmass legally, because of our way of life, we actually need people to come around. And these people coming around are not ready, are not willing to accept us as the owners. And so, you know, in Delta State, we are even a relative minority. And you know that politics determines economics. And so when you are not, and that's part of the survival fight we're talking about. When you are increasingly being suppressed, when you are increasingly being reduced in number, when your strength is being decapitated to such an extent that you no longer have the force. So on the table where employment is being decided, you are not there. You don't have enough number there. On the table where amenities are being decided, you don't have numbers there. Okay? And yet, we are a part of a country that is called Nigeria, that operates a constitution.
Well, it's quite a lot really to break down. We've not even gotten into the youth restiveness situation in that part of the country. But as I said earlier on, this is an ongoing conversation. And at least we've been able to, like I say, more than scratch the surface on this one. I'd like to thank you so much. You're the mouthpiece of Warri Kingdom. It is the Egogo. How do I pronounce it?
Egogo.
Egogo.
Some
just
people
like
call it Agogo. Yes, exactly.
There you go. So that's the appropriate way. Legal practitioner, Notary Public of Federal Republic of Nigeria, and Director of Robinson Ario and Co. Law Firm, Chief Robinson Ario. Thank you so much for your time.
A pleasure.
Well, let's now check in with what is going on with the People's Democratic Party in Ondo State. Recall that today is actually the day for the primaries. We're joined on the program by the Publicity Secretary of the PDP in the state, Mr. Kennedy Perite, joins us virtually from Akure, the state capital. Welcome to Lunchtime Politics, Mr. Perite. I know that your party had promised to do better than the APC. In fact, you asked Nigerians to wait to watch how you conduct yourself. So tell us, how is that conduct going on so far?
Well, so far, everything is set here. The venue of the contest, the primary election, is looking like a carnival because aspirants have all come in, delegates are here. Actually, the accreditation should have started now, but it's just beginning now. We're just beginning to do accreditation, local government. There are ballot boxes. I'm sure your men here on ground would have shown them to the world. The officials from INEC, police, the SSS, everybody is set here. So in a few moments now, maybe in another 45 minutes or thereabout, voting will start. And in another 1 hour or thereabout, the voting will have been completed. And Nigerians will know for once that there is a marked difference between the process of a primary here in the PDP and that of the APC.
But can you vouch that there will be no parallel primaries, Mr. Perite? Can you vouch?
No, there won't be anything like parallel primary because the list of delegates is available to the aspirants. It will be made available in more than 2 weeks. And the delegates know themselves, the aspirants know the delegates. I've been talking to them.
All right. Well, as you said, we're on ground there, and we're live watching all of the proceedings to give Nigerians feedback. Thank you so much, Mr. Kennedy Perite, Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party in Ondo State. Well, there you have it. So much going on, but not to worry. We're there for you, just so you can stay where you are, relax, and get all of the breaking stories. Well, that's Lunchtime Politics for today. Thank you for watching. I'm Kayode Okikele. Goodbye.